Every day, hundreds of thousands of patrolmen report for duty, armed with a badge and the latest in video technology. You are about to witness their never-before-seen footage. Their stories caught on tape. Now on Disorderly Conduct. A motorist suddenly opens fire on a trooper. A suspect makes the mistake of not obeying orders. A van careens down the highway, and you won't believe who's at the wheel. This driver picks the wrong time to hang a left. And a police chase has officers seeing purple. Dangerous drivers, sinister suspects, and colorful characters. It's time to take the plunge into disorderly conduct. Police dashboard cameras document the very best and the very worst in human behavior. Now you're about to see both in one of the most horrifying dramas ever captured on tape. South Carolina State Trooper James Sinkler stops a speeder on a dark December night. Without warning, the driver opens fire. Trooper Sinkler runs for cover. Despite taking a direct hit, he's able to hide and call for help.
I've been shot, Sergeant.
But the driver isn't done yet. Trooper Sinkler fires back. But the gunman is determined to end the lawman's life. You can only imagine what's going through the wounded officer's mind as the shooter moves in for the kill. As Trooper Sinkler hides under the cover of darkness, the gunman fires again. Meanwhile, Trooper Darren Wilson races to the scene to save his buddy. Fortunately, he's only a mile away, but he knows every second can make the difference between life and death. Finally, Trooper Wilson arrives and slams to a stop. His wounded partner makes it clear what has to be done. Trooper Wilson finds his target and pulls the trigger. 7 bullets stop the gunman in his tracks. Now it's time for attention to turn to Trooper Sinkler. He's hit twice in the chest and once in the hand, but thanks to his bulletproof vest, he's still alive. The gunman is seriously wounded, but incredibly, he's still a threat.
Get moving. You better stay down! You better stay down!
Officer Wilson hurries to arrest the suspect while Trooper Sinkler tends to his injuries. The suspect is later convicted of assault with intent to kill and sentenced to 20 years in prison. This was the first shootout in Trooper Sinkler's 15-year career. After emergency surgery, he's able to return to the force several weeks later. As for Trooper Wilson, because of this incident, he becomes the first officer in South Carolina history to be named National Trooper of the Year.
His driver acting erratically, going through parking lots and cutting off cars and grazing fences, almost causing accidents here. They believe this individual's under the influence, perhaps of some sort of drug.
TV viewers wake up to a slow-speed pursuit around the picturesque Chicago suburb of Glenview.
Glenview police are doing it correctly. They're getting up here and they're going to be getting their cars in position here, try and box this person in.
The man was spotted driving erratically in the early morning hours, and police want to pull him over before rush hour kicks in.
He's heading right toward where the commuter station is in downtown Glenview. There's a lot of pedestrian traffic. They're going to try and have to get this guy boxed in here pretty quick.
As a TV reporter follows the action from above, the driver grazes the curb, cuts around cars, and slams on his brakes. The suspect takes the chase to the next level when he suddenly heads for greener pastures.
Now going through the trees, he's going through the grass here, going eastbound, crossing the sidewalk. Now it's getting real dangerous here.
The detour takes him through a parking lot and back into a residential area. Now his left front tire is out of air, and he's about out of options.
There's not going to be anywhere else to go. Let's see what happens here now.
The man stumbles out of the car, obviously under the influence of drugs. He refuses to put his hands in the air. Big mistake.
They have him at gunpoint now. They're going to try and talk to him. He's not armed in any way. He's just agitated. Officers have their weapons extended. Okay, he's been tasered. He's been tasered. Taser, taser, tasered.
50,000 volts of electricity drop the driver and end the drama. His next jolt will be when he hears the charges against him. Aggravated fleeing, driving under the influence of drugs, and possession of a controlled substance.
Taser, taser, taser.
A man who is suspected to be mentally ill hangs from the fourth-floor parking garage at a county courthouse in Florida. The camera in a police helicopter catches the unfolding drama.
Air 5 appears we got a security guard that's trying to help him back over onto the garage. He's grabbed a hold of the guy's arms to prevent him from falling.
A police officer arrives to help pull the man to safety. But it soon becomes apparent that the man does not want to be rescued.
He's resisting. Tell him he's resisting.
He pulls his right hand free while the officers tighten their grip on his left arm to keep him from plunging 4 stories to the ground. More officers arrive. They lean out over the railing, putting their own lives in jeopardy trying to save a man who doesn't want to be saved. They talk to the seemingly suicidal man, hoping to coax him back to safety while police consider their options.
If somebody could get below, they could grab his legs.
But before that can happen, the dangling man pushes away from the structure and tries to yank his left hand from the officer's grasp. The disturbed man then lowers his head and stops struggling. The officers make a valiant effort to hold on, but time and gravity are working against them. Suddenly, he slips through their fingers and plummets to the ground.
Air 5, the subject just fell. He's on the sidewalk on twig.
He lies there motionless, but he's far from dead.
He's moving. Oops, he's running.
An officer tackles him and takes him into protective custody. The troubled man who cheats death in this spectacular fall is taken to a nearby hospital and held for a mandatory psychiatric evaluation. No criminal charges are filed against him. Hang on, disorderly conduct is just beginning. A child takes his life in his hands doing 90 on the interstate. And hell hath no fury like the scorn of this woman in the battle of the convertible. All that and more when disorderly conduct returns. .911 operators are working overtime in Cleveland, Ohio. Motorists are calling in about a driver who recklessly races through traffic at up to 90 miles an hour. As the light rain falls, Ohio State troopers race to catch up to the speeding van. These conditions are dangerous enough, but officers learn something that concerns them even more. This driver is reported to be a 12-year-old boy who swiped the family car when his parents weren't looking. High speeds, wet weather, and a child at the wheel. It all adds up to a tragedy in the making. As the pursuit flies through 2 counties, the kid either won't or can't stay in lanes. First, he hugs the left shoulder. Next, he cuts across afternoon traffic on Interstate 71. Then he guns Mom and Dad's van along the far right side of the road. Finally, the preteen pushes his luck too far. He hits the dirt, then goes into a tailspin. Moments later, he slams into the guardrail, then careens across the interstate. Officers don't even know if the boy can reach the brake pedal, but they do know this is getting worse by the second. He continues to hit the siding, then finally rolls to a stop. He opens the door, but can't seem to put the van in park. Officers move in with weapons drawn. After checking the van for other occupants, 2 troopers take the kid into custody. He faces charges in juvenile court and will have a lot of explaining to do to both a judge and his parents. Fort Worth, Texas. A 20-year-old woman works behind the counter at her dad's convenience store. It's a quiet night, so she spends her time stocking shelves. When a customer strolls in, she takes her place behind the counter. He asks her a few questions, then walks up as if he's going to make a purchase. Despite her objections, he suddenly darts behind the counter and attacks the woman. A closer look shows that the man pulls out a hammer, then viciously beats the helpless clerk. It looks like he's done. But then he returns, hits the woman again, and destroys the video camera. The camera is ruined, but as you can see, the video survives. Police hope it will lead to the capture of the suspect who didn't even get any money. The woman suffers several head wounds and 2 broken bones. After this attack, her father decides to sell the store. Two women in a convertible get pulled over in Twin City, Georgia.
How y'all doing?
The officer knows the driver and asks to see her license.
Because last time I talked to you, you didn't have any.
Well, that ain't no call to stop for nobody.
Yes, it is.
Well, I ain't got none.
Well, come on, go with me.
I ain't going to jail.
You going?
The woman can't understand what all the fuss is about.
All I was doing was taking her to the store. That was it.
The officer takes driving without a license a bit more seriously.
You came by me the other day
Other than
Driving. when I was sitting at the red light, and that was your warning.
He cut her a break once. This time, he's taking her to jail.
Listen, you going with me. How you go is up to you, but you going.
She gets out of the car
Come on now, don't be putting hands on me now.
All right?
and right in the officer's face.
Don't be playing.
Let's go.
He wrestles with the woman onto the front seat as her passenger clears out.
Get your hands off me now. You see this? I ain't hear him now.
She continues to resist arrest.
Can I get these cuffs on you?
Get off of me.
Get up.
He gets a cuff around one arm.
Get off of me now. I ain't playing with you now.
Give me your arm.
Well, get up there. Let me get up
Give
there.
me your arm and I'll get up.
Well, get up off of me then.
Give me your
Now
arm.
you see this? You my witness.
She pleads her case to her friend as the battle rages on.
Give me your arm.
Off of me then.
I'm not asking you
How
no
get you
more.
down home when you like this?
Give me your arm.
Get off of me now.
Finally, both arms are locked behind her back.
You ain't got to do all this, fella.
I didn't do it. You done it.
And don't pull me out like this.
The woman is taken to jail for driving with a suspended license. And because she put up such a fight,
Don't be putting hands on me now.
All right?
she also faces the more serious charge of assault on a police officer.
And don't pull me out the car like this.
Coming straight at you on disorderly conduct.
Shots fired.
A cop's camera gets whacked in a shoot-'em-up 3-hour Texas-sized car chase. And the law comes calling on some dangerous dealers. All that and a lot more arresting video when disorderly conduct returns. Pasadena, Texas. An officer spots a man suspected of robbing a dry cleaner at gunpoint. Once he hits the main road, it's obvious that this could turn ugly real quick. Suddenly, the driver opens fire.
Shots fired.
Pursuing officers refuse to back off, even though more bullets could be headed their way. So far, traffic is light, but there's no such thing as a safe pursuit. That's proven seconds later when a pickup pulls in front of the speeding squad car. The collision heavily damages the cruiser and destroys the camera. The suspect doesn't even slow down as a TV helicopter picks up the pursuit from above. He pulls a U-turn and cuts across this field. But he soon finds himself fenced in. He drives directly at an officer who tries to shoot out his tires. The bullets miss their mark, and the suspect takes the pursuit back to the asphalt. He sails down a sidewalk, slides across an intersection. It looks like he's trapped. But then he backs right into another vehicle and continues to flee. He races through another field, then flies across this parking lot. Later in this alley, more squad cars move in to take him out. But the suspect is in no mood to surrender and clips this cruiser. He almost hits a car at this intersection. and nearly loses it on this off-ramp. Finally, the effects of a police spike strip he hit earlier show on his front left tire. He keeps on going and T-bones a truck. Now riding on rims and rubber, he's headed for another field. The suspect seems determined to end this on his own terms and nosedives into a water-filled ditch. The truck sits partially submerged, but officers know he's still armed and dangerous. With weapons drawn, troopers size up the situation. The man holds a gun to his head as a police negotiator tries to reason with him. Finally, the driver surrenders and is taken into custody. After more than 100 miles, almost 3 hours, and countless close calls, the drama is over. The suspect is charged with attempted murder of a police officer and 4 counts of aggravated robbery. Some folks are about to have a very bad day. And these officers are more than happy to make it happen. Police in Sansom Park, Texas, execute a search warrant for a pair of narcotic suspects. They immediately encounter one man in the kitchen.
Don't move.
When officers rush into the bedroom, they spot another resident and a shotgun on the ground.
Gun!
You can see the officer's laser sight pinpointing a target on the suspect.
Need a cuff team. Cuff team, we got a guy!
Within moments, both men are cuffed and taken into custody. Officers confiscate everything from the shotgun
Got one rifle.
to methamphetamines and drug paraphernalia. The suspects are charged with possession of a controlled substance with extenuating circumstances. It turns out the house is less than 1,000 feet from a school,
Gun!
which greatly increases their chances of getting a harsher sentence. We've got a lot more disorderly conduct coming up. A suspected SUV thief hits a roadblock. And a man has a gun and the will to use it on himself. It's all right here when disorderly conduct returns. It's the middle of the night in Columbus, Ohio. Police are in pursuit of a young guy suspected of carjacking a Chevy Trailblazer. The good news is that traffic is light. The bad news is that the 23-year-old driver is traveling at breakneck speeds. As the pursuit goes on for miles and miles, officers from throughout the county are called in to assist. At one point, the driver attempts to change directions, and it looks like they've got him pinned. But the suspect has other plans and rams a squad car. The driver maneuvers his way out of the jam, and the chase is back on. It's soon apparent that this is the perfect situation to bring out the spike strips. Another dash cam shows an officer bringing out the hardware. The plan works perfectly as the SUV rides over the sharp spikes. It isn't long before the spike strip takes effect, and now the vehicle is spraying sparks. All involved know it's only a matter of time before this thing is over. The only question is how. When the driver attempts to turn, he finds himself trapped. That's when an officer rams him. Cops swarm the SUV, and the man is quickly taken in. Fortunately, there are no injuries to either the officers or the SUV driver. The suspect faces a number of charges, from felony evading to car theft. You're looking at a very troubled man. Deputies in Cheatham County, Tennessee keep their distance as he holds a gun to his head.
Hold all the traffic, make sure everybody goes the other way so he can't carjack anybody.
They can only hope he will come to his senses before this ends in tragedy.
You really try not to pressure him, he's just walking down the road.
It all began when a deputy tried to serve him with several warrants for his arrest. The suspect pulled a gun, then ran into this wooded area near Nashville.
He's got one weapon back in his left hand. He's swinging it, but he has the other one pointed at himself.
Incredibly, this man has been close to death twice before. He was shot several times in a drug deal gone bad, and also nearly died in a car accident. But now, his fate is literally in his own hands. After walking for 10 tension-filled minutes, the man sits down by the side of the road.
Subject is sitting down.
Police are hoping he's going to put down his weapon. But the man suddenly pulls the trigger. Amazingly, the man who already cheated death twice before is still alive. Even though their guns are drawn, the deputies are in full medic mode. Most expect that it's too late for an ambulance. But despite a point-blank bullet to his head, the man survives. He escapes death, but not the legal system. After recovering in a local hospital, the man is booked on the outstanding warrants. An officer is in hot pursuit of this speeder in Hillsboro, Oregon. The narrow road doesn't leave much room for error, and the driver swerves to avoid another car. That sends him into the wrong lane as he takes on a tight turn. An overcorrection sends him over the edge. Now he can be happy an officer was right on his tail, because that same officer is right there to rescue him and save his life. More disorderly conduct is everywhere you look. A clerk with a gun turns an armed gang into a basket case. And a catering truck on a lunch break from reality. Just add a little sauce and turn on the burners. We're dishing out more disorderly conduct next. Surveillance cameras are rolling as an armed gang holds up a convenience store in Miami, Florida. The clerk runs when she sees the gun. Another gang member grabs her as a second employee ducks for cover. A third robber moves in, while off camera, another armed man dashes behind the counter. This store has been robbed a number of times before, and today, one of the clerks is armed and determined to fight back. He fires his gun. and shoves a metal cart into the path of the fleeing robbers. One of them leaps off of the counter and onto the cart. He hits the floor hard as two thieves race out the door. The man who waved his gun at the female clerk makes for the exit too. Then he returns for his partner in crime. He lifts the cart off his dazed accomplice, picks up his gun, and drags him outside. A closer look shows the glass door shattering from the round fired by the clerk. This unexpected show of force by a brave employee is enough to send the heavily armed robbers running for their lives. That's a catering truck up ahead, and today there's trouble on the menu. The truck's driver peels out just as officers are about to question her about a couple of hit and runs. She floors it through the streets of Lancaster, Texas, where she adds a little hot sauce to the mix. Moments later, she suddenly backs up. Fast food takes on a whole new meaning as she guns it through the neighborhood. Local residents take in the action as she jumps curbs and does all she can to avoid capture. It looks like the end is near as officers approach with guns drawn. But she refuses to cater to them and takes off once more. 50 yards later, she stops yet again, then slowly backs up. Officers move in for a second time and even open the passenger side door. But this dangerous game of cat and mouse isn't over yet. At her next stop, an officer gets out and slowly approaches. He whips out a small knife and slashes her tire. The driver isn't pleased and hits the gas. Officers chase her through residential streets and alleys. The suspect stomps the brake pedal after she makes this turn. The lead cruiser slams into the back of the truck. Then an officer fires a shot. Despite a knife to her tire and a bullet to the back of her catering truck, the woman still refuses to surrender. Then, 30 terrifying minutes after it all began, the driver pulls into a private driveway. She exits the truck and makes a run for it. Officers close in, and within seconds, she's taken into custody. She is charged with evading arrest and aggravated assault. There's more disorderly conduct just around the bend. A caped crusader takes to the streets, but he's no hero. And a school teacher faces detention despite her touching excuse.
My boyfriend is kind of touching me.
It's all next when disorderly conduct returns. It's a strange sight, even by California standards. A man wearing a purple cape drives a car while hanging out the window in Los Angeles County. At At times, he has both hands and a leg outside the car as he rolls merrily along, dancing to his own tune. The caped man attracts plenty of police attention with his slow-speed jaunt down city streets. But the risk of a tragic ending increases dramatically once he takes his rolling roadshow onto LA freeways. The man waves wildly at police and news helicopters, who track every bizarre move he makes. Police trace the license plate and learn the man behind the wheel has a history of mental problems and drug use. The disturbed driver acts as if he's king of the world with no concern for the disaster that might lie ahead. His freeway stunt driving becomes more and more dangerous. Suddenly, he takes the chase to a new and scarier level. He hits speeds up to 120 miles an hour as he races down the freeway, driving on the shoulder, and cutting in and out of traffic. The chase moves from LA to neighboring Orange County, but the guy's outrageous act remains much the same. Arms and legs blowing in the wind, gyrating and gesturing to the ever-present choppers. About 2 hours into the chase, he pulls off the freeway and into a donut shop. Police surround his car with guns drawn, but they're hoping to resolve this without resorting to deadly force. The man jumps out the car window, then calmly strolls into the shop. Police still want to avoid using deadly force if at all possible. An officer steps forward and tries to subdue the crazed man with pepper spray, but it fails to bring him down. Finally, inside the shop, police rush the man and wrestle him to the ground. The man who led police on a colorful but dangerous spree across Southern California is taken to a local hospital for evaluation. He also faces criminal charges for evading arrest. Police in Denton, Texas respond to a call from a concerned citizen.
Mobile phone caller advised this vehicle, possible intoxicated driver.
The officer tails the Toyota a short distance, then pulls it over. It's not a smooth landing.
Ooh, stopped hard. Slammed on to put it in gear or something.
A male passenger remains in the car as the officer walks the female driver to the side of the road.
And while I've been following you, your speed has been very erratic and you have been drifting back and forth in your lane.
She admits to having a couple of beers, but offers a unique explanation for bouncing all over the road.
Well, my boyfriend is kind of touching me.
Well, was this a mutual deal since I saw his pants pulled down and everything?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would that account for your driving back and forth there?
Yes, sir.
The revelations just keep on coming.
What's your education level?
College.
Do you have a degree?
Yes, sir.
What's your degree in?
Elementary education.
Elementary education? Okay.
That's right, she's a school teacher.
Then you know the alphabet, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Would you recite that for me, please?
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, Q, R, V, J, K, L, M, P, Q, R, S, T, V, J.
Well, that's obviously not it. Let's try this. Why don't you put your feet together for me? Keep your arms down to your sides just like that and don't do anything until I tell you. Do you understand?
A sobriety test is on the curriculum tonight.
Take either leg, whichever you're comfortable with. It doesn't make any difference to me.
While showing her the proper way to do the one-leg stand,
Now, if at any time you should put your foot down,
there's an improper one-leg drop as her underwear fall to the ground.
just pick it back up and continue counting from where you left off.
The trooper is unfazed
While you're doing this, keep your arms down to your sides at all times.
and proceeds with the test.
Okay, you have any questions?
I don't think so.
Okay, you can go ahead and begin then.
I got from one, I got from two,
But math doesn't appear to be her best subject.
6 and 7 both twice. 9 twice. 10 twice. 14 twice.
16, 18,
Skip 17.
Before handing out his final grade, the officer has a request.
Tell you what, do me a favor. Why don't you pick the panties up there and put them inside the car for me?
He gives the teacher an F.
Listen, you have had way too much drink to be driving tonight. And you are under arrest for driving while intoxicated, okay? So I need you to turn around, please.
The 25-year-old teacher pleads guilty to DWI. She tells officers she was celebrating the end of the school year and simply overdid it. Lesson learned.
Why don't you pick the panties up there and put them inside the car for me?
Cherry Sunday.